Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson and welcome back to the Xiaolin Perspectives. And today we're going to be discussing episode 12 of Xiaolin Showdown, Mala Mala Jong. And the episode actually begins with Jack Spicer creating an inventory of the Shengang Wu. Basically its whole point is just to keep track of who has what Shengang Wu and which Shengang Wu are unattainable, with an example of a Shengang Wu that nobody has being the Golden Tiger Claws, which Omi sent to the center of the earth several episodes ago. Of course, Wuya thinks that Jack doing this is stupid, and in her own words, she doesn't need a scorecard, she just wants someone who can get her all the Shengang Wu. However, in the middle of chewing Jack out about all this, immediately Wuya starts convulsing and reacting as a new Shengang Wu reveals itself, and it turns out this is one that Wuya thinks is very important for them to have. In this case, this Shengang Wu is called the Heart of Zhang. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the Shengang Wu does yet, but needless to say, Wuya makes getting this Shengang Wu a very high priority, and so she just tells Jack to go and get it. In the meantime, the Xiaolin monks, obviously having gotten word of the Shengang Wu revealing itself also, have gone to where the Heart of Zhang is supposed to be, which in this case is just a random forest somewhere. As such, once they arrive, all of them spread out to find it, and after Omi has a little tussle with a squirrel, he does manage to find the Heart of Zhang, which just looks like the traditional Valentine's Day harp with what looks like circuits in it. I don't know why. But either way, before Omi can claim it, Jack Spicer arrives flying on his little jetpack and grabs the Heart of Zhang. However, before he can fly away with it, Clay manages to bring him back down to Earth with a well-placed lasso, which not only causes Jack to crash down, but also drop the Heart of Zhang. And when he makes a dive for it, Omi grabs at it as well, and thus Omi challenges Jack to a Xiaolin showdown. In this case, the challenge is gathering acorns. Whoever can gather the most acorns in under 2 minutes will win, with Omi wagering the Jet Butsu, while Jack wagers the Lotus Twister. As such, Jack accepts the challenge and Xiaolin showdown time. The forest grows ever bigger, the trees start growing longer branches. It's again pretty cool. And so Jack and Omi immediately get to work gathering acorns. And at first it looks like Omi's doing a good job as he uses the Jet Butsu to just fly around, while Jack uses the Lotus Twister, just uses rubbery limbs to grab as many acorns as he can. But eventually Jack manages to turn the tables on Omi, as he managed to get Omi unsuspecting and just kind of, he just catapults him right into a tree, which caused the tree to drop a crap ton of acorns, which Jack lays claim to, and thus, by the time the 2 minutes are up, Jack wins the showdown, and thus he not only wins the Jet Butsu that Omi was using, but the Heart of Zhang as well. And so he flies away with the Xiaolin monks sadly having to lick their wounds. Thankfully, when the Xiaolin monks do return to the temple, Master Feng is not upset, as in this case, Omi didn't lose the Heart of Zhang because he was being arrogant. It's just bad luck. In his own words, the river of life will ebb and flow, and as Raimundo puts it, you win some, you lose some. And Master Feng even says that, yeah, they should endeavor to get as many Shengang Wu as they can, but occasionally there will come a time when they fail to get one or two. And it's not the end of the world if they do, though there are other Shengang Wu, and they can always try and get the other ones they lost later. As such, Master Feng comforts Omi and just asks, so what Shengang Wu did you lose? And Omi, just feeling a little bit of relief, lets him know it was the Heart of Zhang, which causes Master Feng to go pale before he stumbles back into the wall, and it turns out, yeah, it was bad of them to lose the Heart of Zhang. Why? Well, this is where we get into what the Heart of Zhang does. Basically, the Heart of Zhang has the power to give life to the lifeless. So, like, say, for example, I took the Heart of Zhang and I stuffed it into a scarecrow. That scarecrow, as long as the Heart of Zhang is beating in its chest, would be able to walk, talk, jump, and sing about how it doesn't have a brain as much as it wants until the Heart of Zhang was taken out of it. And, well, under normal circumstances, the Heart of Zhang could be used to just, like I said, bring something to life. However, in combination with other Shengang Wu, the Heart of Zhang is very dangerous. And this is where we cut back to Jack Spicer, as we see Wuya directing Jack Spicer to lay out several Shengang Wu on a table, and basically the Shengang Wu that we end up seeing are, the Helmet of Zhang, the Two-Ton Tunic, the Third Arm Sash, the Fist of Tebigong, the Eye of Dashi, and the Jet Butsu, as well as the Shroud of Shadows, which Jack somehow got off screen. Don't ask me how they got it. Even in universe, nobody knows. Seriously, later on it gets used, and even Kimiko's like, wait, how did they get that? So, Yeah, I don't know where it got it. It's a continuity error in and out of universe. Point is, they have it, and they're being using it for this thing. And basically, the way it's all being set up, it makes it look like a person, with the helmet of Zhong acting as a head, the 2-ton tunic acting as the torso, the third arm sash, and the fist of Tebegong acting as arms, and the jet butsu acting as, well, feet. And so once all of this is set up, Wuya instructs Jack to place the heart of Zhong inside the 2-ton tunic, which Jack does. And the instant it's put in place, the heart of Zhong suddenly spouts green fire, which spreads out across the 2-ton tunic. It causes it to expand to the point where it's in its armored form, and from it, fire spreads across the third arm sash, which suddenly comes to life. It spreads to the fist of Tebegong, creating a fiery arm, creates fiery legs that connect to the jet butsu. And it finally manages to reach the head, which causes it to react and even grow a jawline with sharp teeth. And thus, the bevy of Shengang-Wu rise up as a warrior. A warrior that Wuya claims is the demonic monster called Mala Mala Jong. An indestructible, invincible, exceedingly powerful being that could basically wipe the floor with anyone that ever crosses its path. So yeah, this is kind of a big deal. First, Jack thinks that Mala Mala Jong is here to be a boon for him and Wuya, and so he wants to add Mala Mala Jong to his little inventory. However, as he asks for descriptors about the guy, Wuya says, file him under your replacement. And it takes Jack a minute to realize what she says is wait, what are you talking about? And Wuya claims that, yeah, she's ditching Jack now. She doesn't need him anymore. She needs someone who can she needs someone who can do the job right. And why would she need a sniveling little boy like Jack Spicer when she has an invincible demon warrior literally made of Shengang-Wu at her beck and call right now? As such, Wuya and Mala Mala Jong pretty much give Jack the rough equivalent of "fuck you" as they just leave his lab. And while Jack pleads for them to stay, all it takes is a backhand from Mala Mala Jong to get Jack out of their way before Mala Mala Jong leaves the premises to go and hunt the Xiaolin warriors. In the meantime, back with said Xiaolin warriors, we see that Master Feng has gathered them and all the nameless elder monks in the main hall of the temple as he explains what Mala Mala Jong is, and that most likely when Wuya has this thing constructed, she is going to target the temple. As such, he orders the Xiaolin monks to pretty much just gather all the Shengang-Wu they have and then just run. Because obviously Wuya is going to want to expand her Shengang-Wu collection. And, well, it's clear that if she hits the temple, they're screwed. So the best bet is just to get the Shengang-Wu away and try and think of a counter plan while they have the time. Of course, Raimundo thinks it's a stupid idea. He wants to face Mala Mala Jong head on, and so he advocates for staying here and fighting alongside Master Feng and the Elder Monks. But Master Feng tells Raimundo that he has to obey orders, that they need to get the Shengang-Wu away, and whether Raimundo likes it or not, he has to do this. And Raimundo doesn't like it, not one bit. And so even as he and the other monks start gathering all the Shengang-Wu, putting him in the chest, and then getting on Dojo to fly away, it's clear that Raimundo wants nothing more than to stay. And so, as he and the other monks fly on Dojo's back to the mountains, well, he's really fired up. And so while everyone kind of camps out in a cave on a mountain called Mount Hong, Raimundo is just getting antsy and jittery as he wants to just head right back to the temple and face Mala Mala Jong. But again, the other warriors reiterate they need to stay behind and think of a plan to face Mala Mala Jong in case Master Feng and the other monks fail. And sure enough, back at the temple, Master Feng and the other monks do see Mala Mala Jong approaching. I guess he made it all the way from America to China. Don't know why. I guess he walked? I don't know. Time works weird in the Xiaolin Showdown universe. Point is, he's there now, and Wuya is more than happy to raid the temple. And so, while Master Feng and the Elder Monks do try to put up as good a fight as they can, well, Mala Mala Jong ain't no joke, and none of their attacks do anything to him. He knocks aside spears, any arrows they shoot at him do nothing, and when he ends up just entering the main hall of the temple and just wipes the floor with many of the other elder monks. While Master Feng does a better job at taking him out, utilizing various arrows and string and so forth to knock Mala Mala Jong down, again, it doesn't stop him, and so Mala Mala Jong even beats Master Feng. And so, with Master Feng and the other monks defeated, Wuya wants to just go right to the vault and get the Shengang Wu, but Master Feng reveals to Wuya that the Xiaolin dragons in training have taken the Shengang Wu and gone God knows where. Even Master Feng doesn't know, which, when Wuya learns that, she gets pissed something fierce. However, back with the monks, they are still trying to think of a strategy to take down Mala Mala Jong. And through context clues, they're able to figure out that the heart of Mala Mala Jong is, well, the heart of Zhong. And they think that if they can find a way to get the heart of Zhong out of, well, Mala Mala Jong, then they'll be able to then he'll just transform back into a pile of ordinary Shengang Wu. Unfortunately, getting to the heart is easier said than done, because, well, Mala Mala Jong is like, as we've established, exceedingly powerful, and going head to head with this guy would be suicide. And so while they do try to brainstorming plans, like using the serpent's tail to just fly right to him, again, even the serpent's tail isn't a concrete solution, because while it can fly through solid objects, well, the eye of Dashi, which Mala Mala Jong wears around his neck, would be able to take them out with a lightning blast. So they still need to think of a better strategy. And so as the monks try wondering, they start asking everybody. They start trying to ponder what to do. And Omi starts asking, "Hey Raimundo, do you have any ideas?" Until they realize something. Raimundo's gone, and so is the Sword of the Storms. Yep, Raimundo decided that he wanted to take matters into his own hands, and sure enough, we cut back to the main Xiaolin temple, and there Raimundo arrives as he sees all the other monks on the ground of the main on the floor of the main temple, unconscious, with the damage that Mala Mala Jong wreaked just everywhere. As such, Raimundo goes over to Master Feng and lets him know he's here, but Master Feng is as upset that Raimundo disobeyed orders and that he abandoned his fellow monks and the Shengang Wu. And sure enough, this mistake bites Raimundo in the ass something fierce as Mala Mala Jong sneaks up on him, don't know how, and launches an attack. And while Raimundo tries using the Sword of the Storms to knock Mala Mala Jong back, again, does jack. It does jack shit. Mala Mala Jong still just knocks Raimundo aside, and it turns out that Mala Mala Jong has the power to attract new Shengang Wu to himself, as he just holds out his arm and then pulls the Sword of the Storms right out of Raimundo's hand. And as such, he grabs Raimundo, and Wuya arrives and wants Raimundo to tell her where the other monks are. Raimundo pretty much tells Wuya to pound sand. He's not saying anything. But it turns out Wuya has a little ability that nobody knows about. She can get in your head, quite literally, as she shrinks down, flies in Raimundo's ear, and just starts flying around in his mind until she gets the information she needs, which of course lets her know that the monks are on Mount Hong with the other Shengang Wu. And so, after they presumably ditch Raimundo back at the temple, Wuya and Mala Mala Jong make their way to Mount Hong. But thankfully, the other monks have not been idle. As it turns out, they now have thought of a plan to get to the heart of Zhong. And that plan involves the golden tiger claws. Now, before you say, wait, didn't Omi send those to the center of the earth? We even established that early in the episode. Well, the thing is, they do have a Shengang Wu now that might be able to reach the center of the earth. The serpent's tail. And the plan is basically Omi is going to use the serpent's tail to fly through the Earth's crust until he can get to the Earth's core, where he'll be able to find the golden tiger claws. And from there, the instant he has them, all he has to do is just rip open a hole in reality and appear in Mala Mala Jong's chest, and he can get the heart. No ifs, ands, or buts. Unfortunately, though, they have to immediately put this plan in motion as the Xiaolin warriors see Mala Mala Jong on the horizon, and so Omi takes the serpent's tail and just flies away. And from there, the battle is on, as Kimiko and Clay use whatever Shengang Wu they have at their disposal to try and fight Mala Mala Jong. Clay tries using the tongue of Sai-Ping to command the animals to go after him, but Mala Mala Jong evades them thanks to the Shroud of Shadows. They try using the Orb of Toonami to drown him. He just walks through the water. He just cuts through the water with the Sword of the Storms before eating the Orb of Toonami. Kimiko tries using the Monkey Staff to try and fight him off. He again knocks her aside, and Kimiko even tries using the Star Nabi to shoot at the cave itself and bury Mala Mala Jong under a bunch of rubble, which does destroy him. But again, it's temporary. As long as the heart of Zhong is beating in his chest, he can survive anything. And so, even though Mala Mala Jong is ripped apart, the Shengang Wu reassemble themselves like an evil iron giant. And so So Mala Mala Jong just knocks him aside and takes the star, and now has the other Xiaolin monks at his disposal, also dojo. As such, with them in his grasp, Wuya decides to be more amicable, as she offers the Xiaolin monks a place at her side if they surrender now. But like Raimundo, they tell her to pound sand, that they never do that, and so Wuya orders Mala Mala Jong to crush them. Thankfully, though, Omi has been busy, as while he did get a few mishaps where he did go into different places of the world, like a farm that was dealing with gophers in a football game, eventually Omi did manage to make it to the Earth's core. I'm not going to get into the physics about why he isn't being burned alive right now, because it's a kid's cartoon, and he does manage to get the golden tiger claws, which, while hot to the touch, he is able to use to rip a hole in time and space, and, well, just as Mala Mala Jong is just crushing Kimiko and Clay, he suddenly reacts in horror as he just suddenly freezes up, much to Wuya's confusion. At which point he just drops Clay and Kimiko, and then just starts clutching and pounding at his chest like he's got heartburn. And, well, one rip in reality later, Omi flies out with the heart of Zhang, and thus Mala Mala Jong explodes into a pile of Shengong Wu, which confuses Wuya until the Xiaolin warriors reveal that they used the golden tiger claws. And so Wuya screeches in anger before retreating, and the Xiaolin monks are able to revel in their victory. As such, from there, the episode ends as the Xiaolin monks have now returned to the temple with their pile of Shengong Wu, and Master Funk congratulates them for a job well done, as he awards Kimiko, Omi, and Clay the rank of Xiaolin Apprentice, and basically allowing them to move into the next step of their training, as, well, their actions and bravery and tactfulness did manage to stop Mala Mala Jong. However, as Raimundo waits for his promotion, Master Funk says he's not getting one. The thing is, while Raimundo was brave in the face of danger, he was also rash and impetuous, and his actions nearly cost the good guys all of their Wu, and even his allies, even their allies almost died. And so Master Funk tells Raimundo that, well, he's not worthy of moving on, which kind of breaks Raimundo a little. And ultimately, all Master Funk can tell Raimundo is that he should just meditate on this. And so, as such, he walks off, and while Omi, Kimiko, and Clay try comforting Raimundo, telling him they're sorry that he didn't get promoted, Raimundo immediately just shifts gears from sad and heartbroken to angry and lashing out, as he just knocks away their hands of friendship, tells them it's fine, whatever. It's the last time he'll put his neck on the line for them, before he just storms off saying that he's sick of this place and that he should have never left Brazil. And while Kimiko wants to go after him, Omi tells Kimiko that this is a path that Raimundo has to walk alone. And so, however, as Raimundo leaves the temple vault area, it turns out the Xiaolin Temple does have an unexpected visitor, as we see Wuya fly off, watching Raimundo storm away, and she immediately starts wondering, where exactly will his path take him? And that's where the episode ends. So, yeah, that was Mala Mala Jong. My thoughts on it? Really good. I liked it. For starters, I like the payoff for this episode. If you remember back in the Chameleon episode, they did kind of hint at what was going to happen in this episode with Wuya salivating over the helmet of Zhong, which, yeah, this is kind of what I was talking about. The helmet of Zhong, despite its whole gimmick being that it gives you eyes in the back of your head if you wear it at different angles, we never see it used as anything more than Mala Mala Zhong's head, which, to be fair, it looks creepy enough, it looks demonic enough, so it does look like something a warrior would wear if they wanted to look intimidating, and, well, Mala Mala Jong is fucking intimidating, so kudos on that. But at the same time, it does just kind of feel dumb to have it be there just so that they can give Mala Mala Jong a head. But it looks creepy, so I'll give you that. It looks cool. But the thing is, Mala Mala Jong is probably one of the best villains of the week that we've seen so far. And the thing is, I'm not bashing Cat Nappe or Tubby Mora, Le Mime, or any of the other villains of the week, as each of them have their own strengths and entertainment value. But Mala Mala Jong is, hands down, probably the most terrifying and formidable of opponents they've faced. So far, anyway. As in terms of sheer power and force, well, like they said, he's invincible. He's powerful. And as Master Feng even states in the episode that he has the power and capabilities of every single Shen Gong Wu that make him up. The strength of the Fist of Tebigong, the endurance of the two-ton tunic, the elasticity, I guess, of the third arm sash. And because his head is not attached to his body in the traditional sense, it can swerve around too. So I guess Helmet of Zhong is doing its job there. Because he has the Jetbutsu, he can fly around. Because of the Shroud of Shadows acts as his cape, he can use it to turn invisible. And the Eye of Dashi, it's self-explanatory. And what makes it worse, he can get better. Because Mala Mala Jong is a warrior made entirely of Shen Gong Wu, any other Shen Gong Wu he gets his hands on, he's able to integrate into his body. And we do kind of see this in another episode later. But we see that showcased in this episode as when Raimundo tried to face him and got his ass kicked, Mala Mala Jong took the Sword of Storms by just holding out his hand and summoning it to it. And we saw him use the Sword of Storms in his assault on the monks at Mount Hong. So it's clear, and again, despite the Xiaolin monks' best efforts, Mala Mala Jong just walked through everything that they threw at him. Clay tried using the Tongue of Saipain to mount an army of animals. He evaded them using the Shroud of Shadows. They tried using their more offensive Shen Gong Wu. He swatted them aside. They managed to finally destroy him by breaking apart all the Shen Gong Wu. He just reassembles himself. This thing is like a machine. He is powerful. He's unfeeling. He is strong, and there is almost no way to stop him. And as a result, it really makes for a very intimidating foe, especially when you see him closing in on the Xiaolin temple. Just seeing him walking through the grassland surrounding the temple, his body the smoke rising from his body with as the flames that make him up burn the grass around him. Him not even speaking a word, and he doesn't even speak. Mala Mala Jong does not talk at any point through the episode, but he makes noises, and the noises he makes sound like demonic wailing and cries and growls. This thing is the literal definition of a monster. He's unfeeling, unconcerned, inhuman in every regard, and nothing can stop him. The only way that the Xiaolin monks kind of beat him is technically by cheating. They have to, as they manage to reattain the golden tire claws, which also allows Omi to finally use them, so good on him, and getting into his chest to rip out the heart of Zhong. And if they didn't have, and the thing is, they almost couldn't use that. If they hadn't used the serpent's tail, then they would have lost. And it was clear from the get-go that Omi just barely managed to make it. After all, he was going right to the Earth's core, which is pretty fucking hot, which should go without saying, and he missed it twice. Maybe even more that we didn't see. And so him finally getting the golden tire claws and getting the heart of Zhong, he almost didn't make it. And it's made clear that if he hadn't done what he had done, the bad guys would have gotten a very definitive win. So it's very cool, and I love seeing it in practice. As Mala Mala Jong, as I feel like sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. When it comes down to it, the less human a character is, the more terrifying they are. And in the case of Mala Mala Jong, he is a monster and a warrior in the purest sense. All he does is destroy, hurt, and just breeze through everything. But almost nothing can hurt him. And on the small chance that anything does hurt him, he can just put himself back together, and he can make himself stronger. It does actually make for some very high stakes when you see when you see Mala Mala Jong in place, and he does kind of act as like kind of the penultimate test for the Xiaolin warriors this season, as he is the only foe that gave them this much trouble. Yeah, they've had problems with bad guys in the past who have one-upped them, like when Cat Nappe managed to get the golden tire claws and then abuse them to take out the Xiaolin monks, or Tubby Moore and how he just whooped Raimundo's ass, or hell, even last episode when Jack wound up rounding up all the other bad guys throughout the series, and you had them all manage to get each of the Xiaolin warriors. But in each of those cases, there was still chance that the warriors could win. And even despite their losses, they still found ways of getting around those losses to achieve victory. This time, however, it's made clear that there is no path to victory. Mala Mala Jong is not someone you can reason with. He's not someone you can outthink. He is someone that if he's coming for you, then you better have a strategy in mind to either get away from him or depower him. Because once he is on you, you have to fight just to survive. And the odds are not in your favor. And I like that. I like that. And despite the Xiaolin monks' training and all the Shen Gong Wu they have at their disposal, Mala Mala Zhang is still wiping the floor with them. And I think it makes for a really good challenge that helps raise the stakes. And they set the bar high just from the instant that Master Feng hears that Jack Spicer and Wu Ya got the heart of Zhang. It immediately lets you know that whatever this thing is going to be, it's something dangerous. And the instant Jack puts the heart of Zhang in place and it just spews flames and spreads out across the Shen Gong Wu body that Jack made for it, yeah, it really does emphasize that this is something that you really need to be afraid of, and I love it. And I love it, and it really so kind of acting as the penultimate test for the series of the Xiaolin monks training and so forth. I like it, and Mala Mala Zhang I think is a good way of showcasing that. On top of that, this episode also does a good job at kind of paying other things off as well. Case in point, Jack and Wuya's tumultuous relationship. We've already established in various episodes that when it comes down to it, Jack and Wuya's partnership is a partnership of pure convenience. And we've seen Wuya at least one time in the series attempt to try and ditch Jack when she saw someone more capable than him in the form of Katnape. And the only reason that she didn't end up pursuing that was because Katnape told Wuya she wasn't interested and just took the only Shen Gong Wu that she liked, which in this case was the Golden Tiger Claws. So Wuya had to settle for Jack. But this is the first time in the series that Wuya officially ditches Jack for someone better, which in this case is Mala Mala Jong. Because again, yeah, I'm just gonna say this right now, this is not the last time that Wuya will ditch Jack. She will go back to him many times, and many other times she will ditch him when she sees someone better at the job than him come around. And it's essentially kind of like a running gag. I'm just going to say this right now. It's kind of one of the more annoying aspects of the show, but at the same time, kind of interesting. I'll get more of my thoughts on that when I talk about Wuya later on in these vlogs, probably at the end when I'm done with them. But needless to say, yeah, Wuya and Jack are just kind of, it's a weird relationship, but it's always one of convenience for them. So yeah, this is the first time we've actually seen Wuya finally go through with ditching Jack. Though there are consequences to that only last for a while, but still. But in terms of character as well, one of the things that I like about this episode is that it still sets up plot threads to be picked up later. Yeah, Mala Mala Jong was the bigger threat, and the thing that was clearly being built up to in the series, or at least one time, as they didn't really build up to Mala Mala Jong that well beyond the Chameleon episode. In the case of characters, though, this episode does a good job at essentially creating tension between Raimundo and the other monks of the Xiaolin Temple. As in this episode, we see one of Raimundo's more prominent character flaws come to the forefront, namely his pride. While Raimundo's dedication to the Xiaolin Temple has never been called into question, he clearly does care about the job and wants to do a good job at it. This episode showcases one of Raimundo's more prominent traits, and that's namely that he wants to try. Hold on one second. Sorry about that, kind of got distracted a little. But like I said, this episode kind of demonstrates one of Raimundo's more prominent negative traits, and that's basically that he's always kind of full of himself. Raimundo tends to think of himself in a very high regard, and we've seen that throughout the series. He tends to joke around with people. He seems to think he seems to act better than everybody else. And unlike Omi, who believes he's just naturally good at these things, Raimundo just thinks it's all skill. He thinks that he is good, and thus when he's confronted with points when he isn't as good as he thinks he is, it tends to get to him more. And in this case, he's presented with a challenge that he is directly told he cannot win, and which of course is Mala Mala Jong. And Raimundo cannot accept the fact that there is something that he can't face, and combine that with his already pre-established dedication to the job. Rather than listening to Master Feng, he instead thinks, no, we can take this. We can take this guy, and I'm gonna prove that I can take him. As he directly disobeys Master Feng's orders and returns back to the temple with the Sword of the Storms, which ultimately screws everybody over because Wu is able to use Mala Mala Jong to defeat Raimundo and get the information on where the monks ran off to. So, and thus when Raimundo does face consequences for his actions, it hits harder. Now the thing is, we have seen Master Feng. Now the thing is, what I like about the episode is that this shows that Master Feng, he's not a jerk in the highest regard, in the full regard. But one flaw that I've noticed with him is that sometimes he likes to let the lessons be more open. While he will push the monks in the general direction where he wants them to head, at the same time he wants them to make the steps to reach it. And so there are times throughout the series when he will give orders to do something without fully explaining why you need to follow his orders. Like, one example I can think of would be the Ring of the Nine Dragons. He didn't want the Xiaolin monks to use it, and his only reasoning for that was that the power of the ring would overtake them unless they had better training. And so as a result, Omi wound up stealing the ring, and he just assumed that, oh, this will be too powerful, so I'm just going to try and limit my use, not knowing that the main reason Master Feng didn't want them using it was because the ring will literally divide you. Now, I'm not saying that what happened in that episode, that the loss that was suffered in that episode was Master Feng's fault. It was not. He gave a direct order, Omi disobeyed it, and Omi's own arrogance with the ring is what cost the good guys a win there. But at the same time, he could have very easily told the monks, look, this ring does more than just splits you apart, it divides you, and ultimately, while you all are skilled warriors, you don't have the proper focus and training to be divided up like that, so I think we need to lock it away at least until we're all better acclimated. And sadly, it's a similar case in this episode as well. He tells the monks, okay, I'll say this. He is straightforward with the threat of Mala Mala Jong, and he does pretty much tell the warriors, look, this thing will come for us, and our biggest priority is making sure he doesn't get the Shen Gong Wu. So take them, run, maybe think of a plan, but in the meantime, you gotta just leave us here. Yes, Raimundo disobeys that order. It's something that he really shouldn't have done. But when Master Feng reprimands him at the end of the episode, which, to be fair, he rightly should, Raimundo's actions did screw everyone over, he never explains to Raimundo why he failed beyond his reckless actions almost cost everyone everything. So instead of just telling Raimundo, look, you were brave here, I will not deny that. You definitely showed your dedication to your craft here, but instead of explaining to him, look, there are positive traits here, you just need to learn to improve them and work beyond your recklessness, he instead wants Raimundo to come to these conclusions himself, well, kind of being a little standoffish about it. Now again, I'm not saying Master Feng's a bad teacher, at all, because part of being a teacher is allowing your students to reach their own conclusions. And as we've seen throughout the series, Master Feng is good at leading his students to finding those conclusions. We've seen it in other episodes, and and his teachings do work in the right environments, and it has helped the Xiaolin monks many, many times. But in this regard, all he tells Raimundo is essentially the rough equivalent of, you done fucked up. Now you just gotta think about why you done fucked up. And the thing is, with Raimundo, he's not really seeing why he fucked up. Yes, he knows his actions resulted in Mala Mala Jong going to get his friends, but in Raimundo's mind, he acted brave. He acted strong. He went to go confront the great demon Mala Mala Jong, and so now he went to go confront the great demon Mala Mala Jong for these people that he's dedicated his life to. And instead of being praised for that, he's instead being reprimanded and told, sorry, you weren't good enough, try and think about why you weren't good enough. And so, as a result, Raimundo starts building resentment, which goes back to one of his biggest character flaws, his pride. Raimundo is good at his craft, but he wants to be recognized for that. And we've seen that in other episodes. Going back to the Tubby Mora episode, part of the reason that Raimundo was beating himself up over Tubby Mora kicking his ass was because Raimundo said, no, I was clearly more skilled, yet I still lost. So why did I lose? And ultimately it was Master Funk telling him you lacked certain knowledge, that you lacked knowledge that helped kind of push him on that path. But his end goal was still the same. He wanted to beat Tubby Mora. He wanted to prove he was better. And yes, finding the knowledge he did give him the edge he needed to beat Tubby Mora in their next confrontation. But he only sought out that knowledge because he wanted to prove he was better. And so here, when he does try and put what he thinks is his best foot forward and tries to prove himself as a great warrior, instead of being told, look, this is why you fucked up, you need to work on that, he instead left to fester. And again, I'm not saying that style of teaching is bad at all, but it is a flawed method of teaching, because sometimes some students don't get it. Sometimes people are stubborn. Sometimes their flaws are invisible to them, and if you try pointing them out, they'll just scoff you away. And so in Raimundo's mind, so while we as an audience know why Raimundo is being skipped over, because he was reckless, impetuous, disobeyed orders, and directly gave the bad guys an advantage, in this regard, because in Raimundo's mind, he did his best, and now he's being punished for it. And it creates a great wedge between him and the other Xiaolin monks, especially when they get promoted over him, and he feels like he was just shat on. It creates some interesting tension, and ending the episode on that with him storming off and Wuya now taking an interest in him, it creates a good bit of mystery and fear and tension that you want to see get paid off later, and it's got some bigger consequences, I'll tell you what. So in that regard, I like that. I like seeing it go forward. And before anyone brings it up, because there's a possibility that someone will, before anyone says, well, he had a double standard because he didn't reprimand Omi earlier in the episode for his failure, well, the difference there is the same thing with the Ring of the Nine Dragons. In the case of the Ring of the Nine Dragons, Omi directly disobeyed his orders and did something that Master Funk knew was dangerous, and that cost the good guys a win. Whereas this one, Omi was putting his best foot forward, was doing everything right, and he still got his ass kicked. That was a simple example of mistakes happen, move on. Mistakes happen, learn from them, move on. Whereas here, Raimundo directly disobeyed orders, and because he did something he wasn't supposed to, and instead it gave the bad guys an advantage they wouldn't have had before. So different circumstances and all that. So I think that I'm willing to give Master Fung a pass on that. So, but again, at the end of the day, though, I do think this is a really good episode. Mala Mala Jong, I think, is a really good villain of the week and really does help test the Xiaolin monks in ways that other villains have not. I love the tension with seeing him going towards the temple and eventually going after the monks as he pursues them. The battles, of course, are really fun, and as we see everyone putting their best foot forward to try and take out Mala Mala Jong. Seeing the ending where he finally gets his ass kicked is really good, and even the final shot with Raimundo storming off as he feels like he's been screwed over, it's very poignant and really does and gives the episode a good bittersweet feeling that, yeah, the good guys won this round, but how long will this win last for? It's interesting, it's intriguing, it creates suspense that you want to see get paid off. Overall, I like it. It's really good. And if you want my thoughts on the Heart of Zhong, okay, I'll admit it, it's a pretty cool Shen Gong Wu. It's a thing that can bring life to the lifeless. That's really kind of awesome. Situational, maybe, but still awesome. So I like that. But so on the whole, the Mala Mala Jong episode, really damn good. Love the villain, love the tension, love the suspense, love the danger, love the laying down of plot threads, love the character stuff with Raimundo, love the ending, love the ending for all the good and bittersweetness it has. On the whole, really damn good episode. So yeah, I think that's really all I have to say. I thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and tune in next week as we look at the Season 1 finale and just see where Raimundo's path of anger and resentment will lead him. So till then, I hope you have a good Friday, and take care.